What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Business of Strength podcast. Today's episode is all about branding, how to create a world-class brand like the big boys, Nike, CrossFit, Under Armour, Google, on a shoestring budget. We have an amazing guest with us today. Our good friend Josh Mason is here from Fame Strength out in Wilkes-Barre, PA. Josh is a true strength entrepreneur and a Business of Strength alumni. He's a great coach, a really cool guy, and he treats his business like a Fortune 500 company. Today's episode is brought to you by the Business of Strength Mentorship Series, helping gym owners, coaches, and strength entrepreneurs around the world turn their passion into profit. The Business of Strength 2-day mentorship will give you the tools to run a world-class gym business, learn marketing, sales, operation, employee management, and much, much more. For more information or to sign up for one of our mentorships, go to www.strengthentrepreneurs.com.
Welcome to the Business of Strength, powered by Varsity House Gym, the podcast for strength entrepreneurs.
Okay, what's up, everyone? We are live. We are here with our good friend Josh Mason from Fame Strength out in Wilkes-Barre, PA. What's up, Josh?
What's going on, guys? How we doing?
We're doing great today. We're super excited to have you on, buddy. Today's episode, we're talking about branding. And there's a lot of misconception that branding is your social media. And that's kind of what I get a lot from strength entrepreneurs that are just getting started in the industry. And they're not really quite sure what it means to actually create a brand from the ground up. And there's so much more to it than just social media. So, simply put, your brand is what somebody thinks of you when they hear your name or see your logo. So when somebody sees that big Fame Strength block lettering, it's like, what are they thinking about? Like, what's the first thing you want people to think when they think your name? It's like when you see that Nike swoosh, you think, world-class athletes and sneakers and performance apparel, So an effective brand gives you a major edge in increasing the competitive fitness market. Gone are the days of if you build it, they will come. The gym space is filled with so many real strength entrepreneurs now like yourself, Josh, and people like us who are really trying to, fire on all cylinders in every aspect of their business. And they're creating these amazing brands, like Ben Bergeron at CrossFit New England, like the guys at D1 Sports. You got the Jim Jones crew, and you have all these great brands, Joe DeFranco, who've really done a great job of creating an amazing brand. And now it's common to see gyms with, awesome coaches, top-notch websites. They're dialed in on their social media. They got logos, national marketing, and just a real unique positions in the industry. So one of the things that we always talk about is like the big boys, and one of the big pushes I get back from a lot of coaches and like new gyms, like us and like yourself, when you were starting off, Josh, I'm sure you didn't have, a $5,000 a month marketing budget. You know what I mean? It's like you're broke.
Not at all.
Right, you got like a $5 a month, marketing budget. Me and Dan, we just printed. When we started, we just printed brochures, printed flyers. We printed it all ourselves, and half of it had spelling mistakes on it and stuff like that.
About the printing costs, talking about marketing budgets.
Right. I'm spending $150 on printing flyers, and I'm losing my mind. My hair's falling out.
Sure.
So we want to talk a lot about the how to market like a Fortune 500 company, like one of the big boys, but on a shoestring budget. So, you can still, live the brand and be the brand and create an amazing brand without having to have, TV spots during the Super Bowl and stuff, So one of the most iconic slogans in the world, just do it, right? Everybody knows who that is. If you don't, you live under a rock somewhere. Right? Nike's one of the biggest companies. It's probably one of the most recognizable branding slogans that's ever been, along with like Coca-Cola and the Coca-Cola logo. Nike's created this campaign in 1988, and it's become their international calling card. The swoosh is the most recognized logo in the world, even more so than the Coca-Cola brand. And that's something that Google told me that, so maybe Google's brand even knows more than I do. I don't even know. Right? So what do you think when you hear the words "just do it" or see that famous swoosh? Nike wants you to think of a lifestyle centered around athletics, fitness, health and well-being. All in this at the same time while being outfitted by the best clothes and shoes in the world. So like when you see their gear and you look at what they have, you see someone like a LeBron James, right? And it's like, well, when you see LeBron James wearing Nike and repping that swoosh, hundreds of millions of dollars are paid to LeBron so that people see Nike and LeBron in their Nike shoes. So people see LeBron in their Nike shoes and think, I got to get those fresh ass shoes that LeBron's wearing. And if LeBron means basketball, well, LeBron wearing Nikes means that Nike's probably got some pretty damn good basketball shoes. And obviously we know that the Jordan brand and their LeBron brand, and now they have a bunch of brands within their shoe line, create some of the the top shoes in the world, and they're making billions of dollars off of it. So how can you create an iconic brand on a shoestring budget? That's really what we want to get into today. So first off, I want Josh to give us a little bit of a background and talk a little bit about what he's doing out there at Fame Strength. I gave everybody a little intro in the beginning, Josh, but I'll just fluff you up a little bit more.
All right,
Josh is a true strength entrepreneur, owns an amazing gym out in Wilkes-Barre, PA, and has created an awesome brand and a really unique position in his community and in the overall fitness space. Josh is also a Business of Strength alumni and a good friend of ours who we've communicated with a lot over the past 2 years, and he's really taken some amazing steps to really refining what Fame Strength is, what it does, how it runs functionally on the back end, and the image that they portray out to the world. So, Josh, can you just talk to us a little bit about your journey? Tell us, how did you get started in the gym business? Why the gym business? And give us a little bit of insight as to then and now. Like, what was Fame Strengths? What was the ideology when you started? And how has that progressed or changed a little bit over the years as you've grown?
Absolutely. So, basically, I tell you, it all stemmed off the NFL dream, right? Once a football player got to the college level, that was the dream, make it to the league. And once I knew that wasn't going to happen, I started saying to myself, I need to be involved somehow in sport, in football, or dealing with athletes. What avenue is that? And I took up numerous internships throughout my college years, spreading across all the sports fields. And when I found strength and conditioning, I just fell in love. Obviously we've been training, my whole life, but now learning about it, I seem to grow a passion about it. So that was when I knew, what? This is where I need to be. This is where I need to be. And I'll tell you, it was one summer I went home. And Dan, you might know this guy, Nick Del Grosso, remember him?
Yeah.
Oh, I know the name, yeah.
So he took me home one summer, and we went up to DeFranco's. Mm-hmm. And this is the first, now I never heard of DeFranco, so I had no idea. Went into DeFranco's. And I was so amazed about the facility and what it was about, the atmosphere, the athletes training, because back where I'm from, there was no such thing. We had global gyms, and that's all that existed here. So I was never hip to that. And when I seen that, I said, man, why don't we have something like that? This gives athletes advantage, man. This is like new age. This is people are climbing the top here. So right there, the seed was planted. So I was still college. The seed was planted right there. So I knew where I wanted to go. And it was just about, once I got home, it was mustering it up and kind of basically taking a risk and throwing it out there. Now, it was tough at first because, like you said, there's no money. I mean,
when you're starting from the beginning, people don't realize that.
You start from the beginning. It's a humble beginnings. I started with, I think I had 4 or 5 kind of junior high athletes that I trained. I was fortunate enough, me and my wife opened up a salon, so I had space up above that building, and all I did was ask the owner if I could use the space upstairs because I wanted to work out. And I kept it that simple. And he was like, yeah. He was like, no worries. So there was no lease. I didn't have to pay rent. And he was just like, yeah. So I would bring like these 4 or 5 kids in there, and we would just work. I wouldn't charge them. And then what started to happen was, word of mouth. Yeah. The friend told a friend, and that would connect to the next one. And then all of a sudden I had 15, 20 kids with me.
Yeah, hanging
So
out
now
all
I'm
over the
like,
building,
yeah,
flipping tires
yeah,
in the
right?
parking lot.
Yeah,
Like,
and we didn't have all the glitz and glam. It was a
yeah,
dirty, dingy little warehouse space, about, let's say, 1,500 square feet. We had some tires, ropes, a barbell, a rack, and maybe dumbbells that went up to 50s. But we did everything. I remember doing box jumps with tires, using tabletops.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it was crazy, man. But it was good. It was good times.
That's awesome. Now,
And
did you have the fame? Did you have a name back then already? Had you already kind of decided on what you wanted to call it?
so
And
the name, I knew I was going into the business route, so I didn't have the name yet. And it was funny, during that time, the name came up.
okay,
And one of my buddies, he kind of dropped the name, and it stood for fitness, athletics, muscle, and endurance.
oh, that's cool.
And
That's cool. See, I didn't
yeah,
even know that, and I've known you for a
yeah.
while. Yeah, yeah, it's awesome.
There's a lot of people open up a shell there. That's
Yeah,
only the
yeah,
people in the beginning would know that. I
right.
have to quiz my members, but yeah. But so that stuck, and I was like, you know what, I like it. And we got the logo done up, and it was awesome there. And I got my first print of T-shirts. I think I got 15. I had 15 shirts, threw them out on the kids. But now this was like exclusive. They're like, what people were asking, what is that? And the pop started going throughout the town. And, back my way, I'm amongst, a lot of athletes and a lot of sporting events or whatnot. So it started to roll. Once I knew I had a little momentum, I said, okay, I could kind of shift gears here and let's try to turn this into a business. And from there, I started charging. And I remember it was $60. It was $60 to come training with me for the month. I had no type of business. I think I had notebook paper, little, sticky notes. Mike owes $60 for the month of January.
Yeah,
and that's how we rolled. I didn't make any profit. It was just, I loved what I was doing. I was passionate. I was in there every day for hours upon hours, and it just kept growing. And when I say this, it's the grind. You're just grinding, your head's down, and you're just steamrolling. And you didn't think about anything else but training and getting these kids better. That's all it was about.
And now that obviously, at some point in that process, you're training. Your story is almost identical to ours and a lot of other strength entrepreneurs out there in the fitness industry who just love to train and want to be involved with sports in some way. And obviously for yourself as a lifelong athlete, someone who trained in the collegiate system and was exposed to strength and conditioning and stuff like that, it was like, well, let me do this. I love this. I'm passionate about it. I love it. And then you saw the other side, going to Joe's gym and seeing like a world-class atmosphere and trainer get after, and you're like, wow, now that's what it's supposed to be like. So, most people start just like us, no idea what they're doing, stuff like that. But at some point you decided like, well, I got to turn pro here because, if I'm spending all this time training people, I maybe I should make some money. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like, I really love these kids and I really love training, but like me and Dan very well, we're super passionate about what we do, but I still got to get paid. You know what I mean? I got to make money, and I got a family. So it's like, if I can't turn my passion into a real profession and make profit from it, then at some point you might have to move on. So what was the moment for you that was like, all right, I'm charging kids for money. I got this nice little gym going, but I really got to get to another level. And talk a little bit about the brand and like, did you start thinking about like, what can I do to create a unique position in the industry and this brand that people in my community have never seen, and also obviously maybe a little bit on the back end in terms of business, like what are some of the things that you did to really take it to the next level and start turning it into a real profession and a real business and start making some real money too.
Right. So basically it was just as I was growing with some numbers, I knew I had something, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, how do I turn this into, to make some money also and turn this into like a real business?
Yeah.
And obviously education was foremost. I was going out there trying to get the best education, going through certificates, seminars, you name it, online, everything. That was just so I'm confident with everything, knowing what I'm about, believing what it is. That was huge. Secondly, it was big on getting out in the community because, again, no one knew about me. I didn't have any commercials or, banners or any of that. I didn't even have a sign. So I knew I had to get around my target audience. So what that was I was going to like high school coaches and asking them, hey, listen, you mind if I come in and just give them a little spiel about what we're trying to do here in this area and, see if they're interested. I would offer free warm-ups. I would offer little speed clinics, things like that, all free, just so I can expose and get the name out there, just so they knew what I was doing. The thing here in my area, like I said before, these type of gyms they're not around here. So everybody was new to it and didn't understand it. You see, like they're used to these global gyms, so it was hard, the adjustment.
Yeah, where's the cardio deck?
Yeah, right. It was hard because they're like, wait a second, this isn't a gym. This is a dirty basement with some tires. I remember being embarrassed at one point when I was starting to get these crews coming through, and the parents would walk down. And, you would see
they were afraid.
Their face, they're coming down and they're like, afraid. What the hell is this? I'm sending my 14-year-old, 15, down here with what's going on. Yeah, is this safe, right? So, and I remember those days, but it was like, I just try to act cool and confidence about what we were doing. I knew my training was above par, and it was just about bringing them in.
Josh, what's funny, too, and I want to interrupt you real quick, is that you talk about creating that brand and that ideal brand. And one of the major things before I know Joe said it before, working on a shoestring budget, is that there's two things that you had clearly from the start, very similar to us, is that you had a primary offering and you had an ideal client where, you were charging those kids. At first it was free, then it was $60 a month. So it was super simple for you to sell that you're going to get all this and it's going to be $60 a month and we're going to do X, Y, and Z. And you also knew exactly what type of client you were looking for. You were looking for the power speed athletes, the football players, the track runners, the wrestlers, the field sport athletes, and you knew where to find them. So I think a lot of people, when they open up a gym, it's like that's what it is. It's a gymnasium for everybody, and it's way too broad spectrum. And I think that's when people do not create a recognizable brand. So obviously now you've been in business for you're going on 7 years now?
Yep, going on 7.
Yeah, so 7 years, and now, we'll get to it in a minute, but you've started a lot of subsets of Fame Strength and Conditioning because you have a trusted brand. But I think it's very important for our listeners to understand is that as rudimentary as it may sound, whether you knew it or not, you had a very specific primary offering and you had a very specific ideal client, and you were able to build trust in the community, whether it be with 15 kids, 30 kids, 5 kids, didn't matter. You were able to make your impression felt, and obviously it felt enough where you're still in business 7 years later.
Yeah, I think, one of the things that, and we're going to get into our, 5 rules to live by for branding. And one of the things that I think a lot of gym owners make mistake on is that they go into it and they really haven't done the back end. And I'm sure you, and along with us, did the same thing. Like, I didn't have vision traction organizers. I didn't have like all my core values, mission statements, all that kind of stuff done already. Like that's very important. And until you do it, you don't realize how important it is. But that stuff should be done first. And one of the most important things, and our number one rule for branding, is to define your ideal client. And whether you knew it or not, just like me and Dan, we were just like, oh, we want to train football players, right? And we were just, so that's really kind of all we went after. Now, we had a lot of different athletes from different sports, but I would say 80% of the effort went into getting football players, right? And it was like, hey, I had this ideal client. Let's get junior high school, and college football players to come train with us and do a really kick-ass job, and whatever else comes because of that is just a bonus. You know what I mean? Right. So so like for yourself, just saying, hey, I'm going to train athletes. There's no real high-end athletic performance facilities in my community or in my area. Well, that's smart enough on your part to be intuitive enough to, see the market, see what's going on, and be like, well, there's a need here. And then two, narrow it down enough. You could have easily said, you know what, I'm gonna start training gym, and I'm gonna train everybody. We do private training, we do group training, we do classes. I do adults, I do kids, I do blah blah blah. And you would have been running around from the get with like a chicken with your head cut off, and not have been able to focus enough on one group to make them really buy into what you were doing. You know what I mean? So like if you just gave everybody 20%, they never got the real experience, So let's talk a little about these rules. And like I said, our first rule was defining your ideal client. And in order to, you need to know who you're marketing to, and your brand must speak to them, right? So now, I hope everybody who's listening will go check out, Josh's gym, Fame Strength and Conditioning, out in Wilkes-Barre, PA. He's got a great website. He's got a great logo. He's got great slogans and catchphrases on his website. And the brand really speaks to me. When I click on, now I'm not going to put words in your mouth. I want you to tell me, Josh, what do you want your ideal client to see and hear when they click on your website, when they talk to one of your coaches, when they come to your gym? What are you saying to your ideal client, and who is your ideal client?
Right. So primarily who we go after is, athletes, serious athletes and adults that want a high level training. And basically, when you see our logo or you see our website or see what we're doing, I want it to be a space where they say, that's for me. Those are the people that I want. I want people that have that high energy and still have that competitive nature involved, whether you're an athlete or an adult.
Sure.
It's just a new wave of training and a style that is that niche market. So that's key, when it's out there.
Nice. That's great. Our second rule of branding is define your core values. And that's something we just talked about. And I think so many gyms and so many strength entrepreneurs do this so late in the process. But once me and Dan, and you probably did it unknowing, kind of like we did. Like we had warrior training as a slogan for a while. We had like what do we use? Speed, strength, power, performance. We used to have like these little catchphrases, and they kind of served as like our core values, and it was like helping athletes become the best they can be, stuff like that. You know what I mean? But we never sat down and really defined what it meant as a brand, and I know you came out here to the business strength, and I know that's something that we push a lot is that core values, because I think that the core values for your company starts with everything from hiring employees to the type of kids that you attract to the image that you portray out to the world. And so our core values here at Varsity House are hungry, humble, and committed to excellence. Right? Obviously, that fits really great with with sports performance, high level athletics, and adults like yourself who want to want more from their fitness. So, can you talk to us a little bit about your core values and how your core values coincide with your brand, and how kind of living your core values is the same as living your brand?
Yes. So just like you said, I was late on the whole core values thing. It was more or less, we're training and trying to get results and doing what we did best. And like you also, it was about these little catchphrases. We have a motto: get your mind right. And it's a mental state. Train, prepare, dominate. These things lingered in the gym, and we post them or whatnot. But it wasn't until I came to Business of Strength seminar where I really got dialed in by you guys. And when you basically gave out that lecture about the core values, you gave us time to sit down and kind of really dive into what is our brand about, what are we about. And we came up and I just kept thinking over and over, and it popped right into my head. Like it was almost as if it was always there, but it just was never out. And our core values that we live by now is we're passionate about what we do. Every coach in the gym is loves what they're doing. That's set up in our hiring process, set up in bringing our clients on board. We want people to have passion in here. It's not,
Absolutely.
you always hate that person that, has to get up to work and hates going to the job or, we don't want that. People love what they're doing. That was big, passionate about what we do, dedicated to the process. This is not easy. As you guys know this, as a business owner, there were struggles with this. You have to groom yourself and learn. And, you have to be dedicated to the process because it's not all smooth.
Yeah, no kidding.
And even on the client end, to the process of their journey, whatever their goals are, whatever their fitness level they're trying to achieve, you have to be dedicated to the process. And then lastly, it was just being driven to be the best. Bottom line, whatever we do, we need to be driven to be the best in what we do. And if we can follow this core value, live by this, I see nothing but success,
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. That sounds great. And that most people, like I said, they don't realize that, if you set your core values in stone and you make them, in a sense, a condition of doing business with you, that those core values wind up flowing over to everyone and everything that is your brand, and that's really what we've wanted to instill, not only in our own gym and our own brand here, but with everybody that comes through the Business of Strength, that it's so important that you know exactly what your core values are and what they mean to you and how you're going to get that message out to the world.
Because it's also subliminal messaging, right?
Absolutely.
Like when you like if you're hiring somebody now, Josh, and you feel like they could be a really good person and they could be a really good friend, but if you know in your heart of hearts that they're missing, that they might have passion for certain things, but the things that they do not, they're not going to be that driven about. So it's like, all right, maybe this person isn't a good hire. And it's funny where, for you, I think a lot of times visionaries and people that are entrepreneurs and strength entrepreneurs, like, you don't realize that something in your own head, that's great, but unless your community and your staff knows about what's going on in your head and what you truly value, especially new people, like, I know that Big Mike and Trev and Joe, I know they know
get it.
that where I'm coming from. But how about somebody, how about Phoebe Maggio that we hired 2 weeks ago?
Right. Does she understand what that means to us?
What that means to us, and is our message clearly defined in and around our space as it is all the time? It's in our meeting rooms. It's when you first come into our gym, our creed's on the wall, our mission statement's on the wall. So it smacks you dead in the face. And whether you read it or not, the first time, the third time, the 10th time, it's just everywhere for you to see. And, other people that are listening, it's, those core values, it's amazing how they're going to, how they will translate into literally almost everything that you do, right?
They wound up having a life cycle, and of their own. And like for us, we could do an entire podcast on what it means to be hungry, and all the athletes and people who've come through the gym and had a real hunger and passion, like you said, Josh, to whether it's be a great coach or like you and me now, be a great dad, or to just kick ass in life, whatever that is. But it all starts with that passion and that hunger. So your core values are critical, and that's something that we preach tremendously, because I know as a new gym guy, most guys just don't think of that stuff. They're just like, I just got to make money. I'm training kids in the park like me, or like you, I'm training kids in some basement, and it's just like, I ain't got time for that shit. I ain't got time to worry about that. So our number 3 rule is called create a unique name and logo. Now, I love your name, and I think the logo is great. I think Fame Strength is awesome for athletes. It's really got a real cool name, and it's the logo is just a big giant says Fame, and it's like distressed a little bit. And it's, how did you come up with that, Josh? And what was the name behind that? You said it stood for fitness, athletics, muscle, and endurance?
Muscle endurance,
Muscular endurance.
So,
cool.
Yeah.
And did you come out that? You had a buddy?
Yeah, I had a buddy. We're walking. It was funny. We're walking out of the gym in this little dirty warehouse that we had, and I forget the exact quote he said, but it was more or less we're talking about one of the athletes, and he said that before you get famous, you need the fame first, and it just popped out my head. I was like, fame. I was like, oh, okay. I said, what's that mean? And he like broke it down. And I said,
Nice.
you know what? I think you just named the gym, dude.
That's
And
awesome.
we kind of polished it up and we rolled with it. So then once we got, that set up, we had the name. We're like, all right, we're sticking to it. We got the logo. I went to a local graphic guy, and, he gave me like 3 or 4 logos. And, what I explained to him was, I told him this. I said, hey, listen, man, I said, we're not clean. This is not a clean global gym. We are grungy. This is going to be outside of your AC mirrors and TV. It's, we're in a basement. I tell people don't wear white when you come down.
Yeah,
there.
it should be no fame gym, right?
Right,
Like, we're not just
right. So here's the idea, and I said I want the logo to represent that. I want it to be grungy. I want it to be gritty. When you see it, be like, oh, okay, it looks a little mean. And that's where the whole distress came, and,
Cool,
and we followed through with it, and it, it sticks, man. We live by that now.
So, like, I think it's great, man, and I really love it. So, like, especially when it comes to athletes, you get like a young, 15, 16-year-old varsity player who's trying to get to college. He's thinking about the fame, I'm going to, you're looking at these players, I know Trevor's always thinking about the fame life.
Oh, yeah.
T Money's living that swag life,
Yes,
baby.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You need money signs underneath that logo somewhere. You need like a Gucci LV, Gucci G's and money signs.
There you go.
So but in reality, the logo and name are really important, and I think they only help brands, but it's not the most critical thing. There's plenty of companies out there with weird names and weird logos that are tremendously successful. It's way more important. Your image and defining your client, having great core values, and obviously, delivering an amazing product is way more important than your brand. If the name of your gym was Josh Mason Strength and Conditioning, it was just your name, that doesn't make it any worse. You still got to deliver an amazing product. You know what I mean? Exactly. But I definitely think having a cool name like Fame or like Varsity House or definitely like Jim Jones, that's such a pun on, obviously not the best dude in the world, the actual Jim Jones, but the way that people are just like, in a sense, jonesing to get to the gym. Right. It's just like got that real cachet. So having a unique brand again could absolutely help. You want it to be easily recognizable. You want it to be, and like for you too, like you want it to be Josh Mason Strength and Conditioning might not look as cool on a T-shirt either. You know what I'm saying? I hate to say it, but that's but that shit matters. You know what I mean? And kids love that stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like
want to look good,
right? Our logo, the barbell logo. Kids see that and they're like, oh shit, Varsity House. You know what I mean? They know that all over our area. So it's definitely helped out a lot. Number 4 is have a creed. Now I'm on your website right now, so I'm going to go out on a limb here. And like you said, you got this creed that's kind of get your mind right, and that's kind of the creed. And big company, every single Fortune 500 company in the world has a creed. Nike has Just Do It. CrossFit has Forging Elite Fitness. Varsity House has become unstoppable, right? Have some message that sums up your core values and kind of your ideal client in one word. So I'll do a little ad-libbing for you, Josh, but everything we talked about, athletes and adults who want to train like athletes, core values of hard work, consistency, commitment, right? And a creed of get your mind right. You're coming here to do work, and
That's right.
we're that underground grungy gym. Now, it's not. I know you personally.
Right.
It's a nice gym. You're a great dude. Trainers are top notch and spot on. The place is clean. It's not like it's some basement dump anymore.
Right.
But you want people to go in there with that workman mentality. Get your mind right. When you come here, put your phones down. Tell your wife you'll call her in an hour. You know what I mean? Right. Like your mom can live without you for 25 minutes. You know what I mean? And let's get to work. So. Get your mind right is kind of like obviously that's been used by a lot of different companies. For you, what does that mean to you? And explain to the audience a little bit about how that creed came about and what that means to you guys.
Absolutely. So get your mind right it goes beyond the gym, and this is why it was so important to establish that with growing this business and having that creed and that motto in there, because life, anything you do, you have to have the mind right. Like you could be going through struggle. Like me personally, there was down times, and I've realized it's all about the mind. If you can have a strong mind and fight through and have a big loop of mental toughness, it's going to be okay, and you're going to succeed. And that stuck with me. And in the gym, it targets the people that want to give up or quit, or their body's too sore, or the workout was a little too tough, or it came the first week, but you know what? I couldn't get there again. That motto, it follows them. We're yelling it in the gym. Get that mind right. Come on. It's Friday. We got to get that mind right. We're building them up. But here's the key. And I've seen it over the years with plenty of athletes, with parents coming up to me. The biggest thing, although they had some physical attributes increased or athletic abilities increased through our training, a lot of them would say, with training with you guys, his mentality changed, his confidence boosted, or her confidence boosted. She's just a different kid, or, it goes over. And I always try to link and play that in with the athletes when I'm talking to them and say, hey, get your mind right. Like if they come in and tell me, oh, I got this teacher and, I can't, my test scores are low or whatnot. And I was like, hey, listen, get the mind right and get it done. Like that's simple. And if they can kind of build on of that, it's just going to help them in life. That's why I say it goes beyond the gym. Right. It helps them in life. And that's what we're pushing.
I love it. I mean, that's so important, and every gym owner has especially if you work with athletes, every gym has a story of a kid that has so much potential if they could just get their mind right and they could just focus it in, dial it in. So, and I know that's one of my favorite aspects of being a coach is, yes, the physical stuff is going to come, and it's nice to see kids perform good. But the best part about it is seeing a kid who comes through your facility turn out to be a really awesome person, and get the rest of their life squared away, and then to come back to you at some point. We've had so many kids come back to me and Dan, just like, it almost gets me choked up sometimes, and it's like, you guys played such an important role in my life. Everything. This was the best time of my life coming here. Not only was I in the best shape, but I just had such a great group of friends and mentors, and everything that you and the gym and the staff and the people that were there just helped me so much stay the course, keep things straight and narrow, and keep focused and stuff like that. So, that's a big part of it, Josh. And I know that you, obviously, you being a dad, it's super important to you to make sure that you portray a positive message to the kids and stuff like that. So, last but not least, before we'll take a little break after this with our listeners here. Well, the listeners won't know, but we'll know. And we're going to how do you define a unique position in the industry? I have a lot of gym guys that we're doing some consulting with, and that we know through our business of strength outlets, and they're just opening up another gym that's just like a lot of other gyms. And now I get it; it's just working out, so a lot of things are going to be similar. Like if you went to Fame Strength, you're going to get an awesome strength and conditioning product. We train athletes too, so there's going to be a lot of similarities. But there has to be something that you're doing that sets you apart. There has to be something unique, especially in your community, right? So, like, if you got 5 or 6 CrossFit gyms in your community, why would you open up another gym that's like a WOD-centric CrossFit style of gym? You're just basically asking for that's business suicide. Just like if there's, if you got 3 24-hour fitness, a Crunch gym, an Equinox, well, I'm going to open up a Globo membership gym and undercut everybody. No, you're not. You're going to put yourself out of business. So you can't compete with CrossFit in the WOD game. You can't compete with the Globo gyms like 24-hour fitness in the big box game. And just like you can't compete with Nike in the shoe game. There's only a few companies in the world that can make shoes and make real money off of it. So. Think of this as what you do different that the rest of the fitness company fitness community isn't doing, right? And an example in the fitness community, right? Look at a guy like Eric Cressy. Eric Cressy is the baseball guy. He's carved out this niche for him that's made him super famous. He's one of the I would say more popular fitness coaches and gurus in the world. He's a super knowledgeable guy. We sent a bunch of our guys up to one of his workshops this summer, and he was great. great delivery, great knowledge, super cool dude. And his niche is corrective exercise, mobility, flexibility, and strength training for high level, like some of the best top pitchers in the world. If you're working with a guy like a Verlander or a Dylan Patanzas or one of these high end multi-million-dollar guys, you can't fuck it up. You know what I mean? Like you can't hurt them. You can't do that. So he's carved out this amazing niche. Or like another guy like a Joe DeFranco, who's obviously carved out a niche for himself, being the combine guy, being the football training guy for a lot of years. When Joe was running his facility here in New Jersey, he was the guy when it came to combine training and such like that. So just talk a little bit about your unique. I think we kind of got it a little bit, but definitely like your unique position in your community, especially and as you guys didn't really have the types of gyms that you have. But talk to me a little bit more about what you guys are trying to do with Fame Strength that sets you out, like from everyone. You know what I mean? What are the one or two things that Fame Strength is trying to do that nobody's doing, or at least
Right, like I said, so in this area they didn't even have this, so that was the easy part. All right, I'm training athletes. There's no other gyms around here that are doing that, so I knew I had that in the bag, and I was driving with that. But yeah, like you said, at the end of the day, training can be very similar, and a gym's a gym in a sense, right? So it was like, what do we do different? And I'll tell you, CrossFit, I do commend them with the community driven approach, and that's, I wanted to go that route too. It's like, okay, what we have and what's inside this gym, how can we take care of these people? How can we make this the place they want to be all the time? How can we make the people fall in love with this and choose nothing else? That was what we did. So, we would have meetings and we would do kind of brainstorm on like, what can we develop? And what it was basically, people just want to be cared about. Sure. Yeah. And, so we put on events, social events, barbecues. We do a lot of different performance kind of testing in there that you won't typically get at your other gyms. We have performance boards. We have goal boards. We have a thing we run probably, I would say, 4 times a year. Every quarter, we run goals, period, which each member has to develop 2 goals, and they sign a contract to complete these 2 goals at a required date, deadline date. And if they don't, there's consequences that we build a workout that they must complete that. So, it's cool, but they love that. They love that, and we post it on the wall. So they're there for, usually it's 6 to 8 weeks that you have to go for the goal. So they're posted on our wall up until that time. And actually we're in that midst right now. But there's tons of things like we want to go into, this fitness standards where we're giving out these bands, color bands, similar to like a karate style thing. And we have different levels like rookie and veteran and legend. And I think this is going to be super unique where no one has that. No one's going around doing that.
Yeah, I've only seen something like that once. I mean, there was a guy, I think when we went out to Pat Rigsby's thing in Louisville a few years ago, that there was a guy out there who said something similar, and I've never seen anybody do it. So it'd be cool to see how that translates to the athletes, because I know, like, as a kid, like, when I was a white belt, and I'm a big martial artist, so when I was a white belt, I needed that green belt. When I was a green belt, I needed that brown belt. You know what I mean, and so forth. So and it just creates
automatic retention.
Yeah. And it also creates like a pecking order too. And not that you want kids but you need leaders. You need somebody like when you get to be, let's call it legend status at Fame Gym, and you've been in the gym for 4 or 5 years, and you're a junior or senior, and you're looking for that kid to step up and help the other kids get their shit together too. And it's like, hey, and I know with us, we have a lot of high school seniors and college kids who I could tell them straight up, like, hey man, grab your crew and get outside and like take them through our dynamic warm up, and they know the whole thing front to back.
And they like taking the ownership. Josh, I have a question for you that I'm sure some people are going to want to know. Is that when you were the only show in town, it's easy to sell your primary offering. I'm going to just assume now, just obviously, I know some things about what your business has gone through and some things that you've done to change and set yourself apart from the rest. But what were some things that you did when competition started to arise in the area to really set yourself apart from the competition and really define your unique position in the Pennsylvania area and the Wilkes-Barre, PA area to be recognized as the leaders in your community in sports performance?
Right. Well, I think, social media is a big push, and it was obviously advertisement was word of mouth. So the idea behind that was results, right? We have to get these kids results. That's point blank results. And what we wanted to do was display these results. So now we're backed up and we're talking through our athletes, our members, with what they're accomplishing, or even adults. So, putting them out there on the social media, using Facebook, using Instagram, and using these platforms to display what type of work we're doing and what we're accomplishing. And I think, that's proof. So now anybody that's sitting on the fence or anybody that heard about us but don't really know what we're doing, here's proof of what we're doing. And
Absolutely.
It's consistent and we're rolling. So I think that was a main engine of push me to say, hey, all right, there's other gyms coming around, and what separates us from here. Always the quality of training, I think. But again, how you develop the community too. I think that plays a huge part on separating you, because it's one thing if a person comes into the gym and it's a workout, but they really don't like the coaches too much, and they tap out to go out. You don't really talk.
Sure, and you don't take the time to get to know them at all or anything like that.
Yeah, it's going to be real easy for them to say, let me try this other spot over here.
Yeah, sure.
But if you have a person in there that, you're diving in, you're connecting with them, you seem like you care about them.
Yeah, their family, their kids and stuff like that.
Making progress. Again, people want to know that you care about them. So now they're not even going to think about that other gym. They walk, I'm happy where I'm at. They're great guys, great coaching staff. I love the training. So it's definitely developing the community that you have first, and just showing proof of what you're doing. I think those two combined help separate you from your competition.
And just to reiterate to everybody too, is that the two things that you talked about the most, and something that we review quite a bit at Business of Strength, is that you're worried about the people that you already have, and you're also making light of the people that are doing great things in your community, which are two of the biggest things when it comes to retention. Because again, I think I've said it on every podcast we've ever done, is that our businesses, no matter how big or small, or how big we plan to become, still the number one thing, whether it's automated or not, we're looking for built-in referrals all the time. So obviously, if you make light of a kid that that just was all league, all conference, you're going to make light of that. You're going to spend time interacting and engaging with your community, and you're going to make sure that the coaches that you have representing your brand are following your core values. And I think, speaking with you after the last Business of Strength, I know that you made some coaching changes to bring in people that I think believe in that and help to solidify your community even more so on a full-time basis.
Yeah, I mean, Dan says it a lot. We've posted it. We say it all the time in our Business of Strength. But people will forget what you say. They'll forget what you do, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And that's the truth. So you got to take the time to really spend time with your community, get to know people. If you're the owner of your gym, and I know that it's hard to know everybody, but you got to talk to people you got to call people by their name. You got to pick up the tidbits. You should know a little bit about each and every person, and you got to do things to make sure that you're spending the time to make sure that your coach. That's your job. Your job is to cultivate relationships. The gym business, our type of gym business, is about building relationships. So,
hey, what's going on, guys? This is Josh Mason down at Fame Strength, and I just want to let you know the benefits of Business of Strength seminar. World-class unmatched. I took a lot from this seminar. I have to really tell you that, it really helped me turn pro. These guys, Joe and Dan and the rest of their staff, are knowledgeable guys, cool guys, and they have an awesome, awesome product. If you do not hook up with the business of strength, you're missing out, guys. You're missing out.
Be sure to visit us at www.strengthentrepreneurs.com to learn more. The business of strength, powered by Varsity House Gym. Turn your passion into your profession and learn how to run a world-class business.
All right, gang. So we're going to get into the second part here of our podcast, and we're going to talk about bringing our brand to life, right? And what that means exactly. So once you've kind of established the back end and you've defined your ideal client, you've set some core values, you've created your unique logo and name, and you've got a lot of the back work done. And if you're like Josh and me and Dan, we did it backwards. We did everything at different times. We just kind of screwed it up. Yeah, most people do. Everybody I know who's starting a gym that's not a businessman is doing it out of passion. I love to train. I want to do it. Let's just get let's get a space. Let's open up a gym. Let's do it. And that's how me and Dan, right. Like, we went to lunch. We went to his house. We hashed it out in his mom's kitchen, eating some food, and that was it. And let's find a space. Next thing you know, we're driving around Bergen County trying to find a gym.
Think about the competitive advantage. I mean, Josh, a couple of these guys. Ryan Harmon.
He met Ryan.
We recently spoke with him. I mean, he's opened his gym with all of these key components. I mean, if we go back, forget the clients, forget the money, forget the relationships. If you could start a gym with that much structure, I mean, you could attest to this. I mean, it would save. Forget the money. It would save the aggravation and the time back.
Just having a back end system. Imagine if we started a gym with a real, some real accounting knowledge. Maybe even a POS system.
Right.
Imagine having a point of sale system.
Notebook and pen. That was our system.
That was it. And I lost that notebook one year, and we lost like $20,000 in sessions.
Bad news.
One of the first thing on our bringing our brand to life is walking the walk, and this is a perfect segue, Dan, what we were talking about a little bit on the break, and we're talking about Dan just got married, got a great wife, Dana, and they're looking down the pipe, in the coming years to have a family of their own. I just had a baby boy literally 2.5 weeks ago, and I know, Josh, you're a big family man. You got 3 kids. You got a 10-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 10-month-old. So, as you grow your business, those obligations don't go away. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you can tell your son, "Hey, I'll catch you up in a couple years." You know what I mean?
Right.
And they actually get bigger, and more important, like all of a sudden now your son's 7. Right, and it's like your daughter's 10, and they're starting to play organized sports. They got events and things like that. And it's like you got to be there. You got to be a great dad.
You can't use that excuse forever. It's like, but babe, I'm building a business. You can't say that.
You can't
year after year after year. It's like, when is it built?
You know what I mean? You know how many times I've told Adele that, and I get that cockeyed ass look.
It's like, eventually that shit's got to wear out. Where it's like, is the business built? Is it here yet?
Right.
You building fucking Noah's Ark or some shit. But the reality is that being the brand is really important. Walking the walk, and I know for me, especially, I've always walked the walk. I've always trained hard. I've always lived the brand, and I've always been out in the community. And when I walk in the gym, I'm Coach Joe, but I'm Coach Joe at home. The only time I'm not Coach Joe is probably when I'm home at my mom's house, and then I'm just Joey. You know what I mean? And I'm mom's little boy. But other than that, you know what I mean? The brand doesn't go away. And now, for us, with kids, it's like, how does that brand impact them, my family, and what image am I portraying to them as well? So walking the walk is way more than just being fit, right? And that's, as a gym owner, and I hate to say it, but like, my fitness is good and I train hard, and I'm sure you do too, and I know Dan does, but it takes a back seat to, running the business, being a dad. I if I get out of here, 6, 7 o'clock at night, and I got to run home, and I'm taking care of the kid, and I'm helping my wife, at this point, changing diapers, feeding them, all this type of stuff, like, when the hell am I supposed to work out? I try to squeeze it in when I can, but it's not, what you're going to be doing. But as Fame Strength, obviously, when we're talking walking the walk, we're talking about training athletes, get your mind right, right? So walking the walk means living that code yourself, you know. So you got to be, if your slogan is get your mind right, you know, and you're talking to kids about the mindset, the you know, walking the narrow, getting your grades up, you know, being good people, well, then it makes sense that you kind of have to do that stuff too. You got to lead by example. And so many brands get kind of diluted by their ownership and employees because you have people that are not living it, not walking the walk. And a great example, you know, in Gino Wickman's book Traction and in The Ideal Team Player by Patrick Lencioni, they talk a lot about how, you know, having one person in your team that's kind of growing in the opposite direction and not living the brand and not walking the walk can have a detrimental effect on the company as a whole. And most of the time, most people don't even realize till it's too late. So, like, if Josh was this guy who was like, you know, on the weekends he was doing bad shit, or he was bugging out on kids, or he was, you know, just not really living the core values and brand that he's portraying, they might not say nothing at first, but over time, I mean, all of a sudden, clients are going to be disappearing. Employees are going to know that you're full of shit, and it's going to just get harder and harder and harder to grow. And all of a sudden, you're going to be standing there and be like, man, I don't understand. Like,
I think that's the obvious stuff too, Joe.
Yeah.
Like where it's, you know, where like of course you shouldn't be doing that, but also like clients don't care. Like Josh, I'm gonna use you as an example, right? So you have a 10-month-old. I'm sure you're sleep deprived, and I'm sure your schedule has had to change because of that. But like the clients, the very good ones are going to care. Like if you tell them and you can confide in them. Like, man, I didn't get much sleep last night. But like if you're on the third session of the day and you've done like a 6 a.m., a 7 a.m., an 8 a.m., like a lot of people aren't going to give a shit. It's like,
they don't give
you know,
a shit.
they don't care. It's like, you know, they're there for them. And
this is their time.
This is their time, and this should be the best hour of their day. So
and I'm
you
paying for a product.
Exactly.
You know?
You're paying for something, and you are the person that's supposed to have everything under control. You are the get your mind right coach.
Yeah.
So, like, if your mind's not right, you're selling me bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, it's like they know that you're not out like getting loaded on the weekends, or you know, we hope not. I know it doesn't happen, but it's like, you know, it's the obvious things, and you have to make sure that as a business owner, like you can't be doing 5 a.m. till 8 p.m. every single night, year in, year out, because
you're doing your company, your staff, and your clients a disservice.
Definitely, because
absolutely.
you are not giving them.
It'd be
all
better.
that you've
It'd be better if Josh came in for 5 hours and absolutely smashed it. Was like on fire. You know, running around the gym with like a freaking
That's
dynamo,
walking the walk.
and killing it, and then leaving it, and people be like, "Damn, how the hell is he? He's got 3 kids. What the hell's he on?" You know, and it's like, but it's better to be that than you know. Nobody wants to hire a trainer who at 7 o'clock at night is like, "I'm exhausted. I've been standing on my feet for 12 hours."
I'd rather that person not do.
Go
like,
home.
No, but also go home. But like, also,
home.
if you're just a one-person show, like, don't offer that time.
Yeah,
like,
don't offer-
you're
exactly.
better off not
Exactly.
offering the time until you can properly staff it. So it's like, you know what? I'm a new business owner. I know everybody's got to make money. Believe me when I tell you, when it comes to walking the walk, by the business owner doing 3 to 4 freaking awesome sessions a day, I think we can, all three of us can attest that over delivering the hell out of 3 or 4 sessions a day is what we all want to be doing right now, as opposed to 8 or 9 sessions a day.
No doubt,
Right.
no doubt. You know, I'd rather put my heart and soul into 5 or fewer sessions a day than to just be. I mean, we've all done the grind. I mean, I know, me, you, and Dan have put in 50, 60 session weeks in where you're just killing yourself. You know what I mean? At first, and that's kind of a. You know, in this industry, you know, I hate to say it, but it's kind of like a badge of honor in a sense, like, you know, the grind. It only lasts so long. So the second thing we talk about is building a community, and now you've mentioned it a dozen times already, and there's a lot of big brands out there that maybe people don't even realize, like Google and Virgin Records, Virgin Atlantic, stuff like that. They barely spend any money on advertising. You never see big Google ads in like the Super Bowl and stuff like that. And they're one of the biggest, richest companies in the world. They put their money into their community. They have great community building events. They have an amazing workspace that people work in. They have this unbelievable work environment for people to be in. And they put the money back into their customers and their community.
The customer. I mean, I think what you're trying to say too is they're putting the money back into their employees.
Yeah, they do. They put the money back in their employees, but they also, like I said, they try to build their community. They focus on their message, their image, and what they're doing, not how much they spend on ads. You know what I mean? So a lot of coaches, a lot of gyms, you know, and a lot of young people say like, oh, no, because now Facebook ads are so popular, and they're important and they work, but if you're spending $5,000 a month on Facebook ads, but you got you don't have an ideal client, you got no core values, you don't have a creed, you're not putting out a great product, right? Well, none of that shit's gonna matter.
Right. Like
you know
half
what I mean?
the emails that we get too are like, "What are you guys doing with Facebook ads?" It's like, guys, we'll speak candidly here. We spend less than $5,000 a year on Facebook ads.
Yeah,
That's not the driver.
No.
I mean, it's a great tool in the toolbox, but it's not the driver.
No, yeah. I mean, so that's definitely number two. You got to build a community. You got to focus on your community. And some of the stuff, like Josh, I know, like you just started doing transformations this past year. You know, how great of a thing is the transformation for your community? And people love that stuff, you know what I mean? And it gets all those people together, working together. And give me an example of some other things that you're doing for community, within your community.
He's talking about opening up another gym because of that shit.
Yeah.
The community's getting too damn big.
Yeah, right. We've been doing okay. So, you know, the transformations, I think this is our 7th one. So we used to run them annually, and then we opened up to just spring or to the fall, because we used to do them every spring.
Okay.
And we was in the fall. So we're actually in the midst of one now.
Awesome.
And I'll tell you, I mean, that hit the scene and just started running, man. People love a start and end date.
Yes.
People love coming in as a crew.
Yes.
You know, people love the stories behind it. Like, it just works.
Yeah,
and if you have, you know, quality training and great people, great staff, like it's gonna be successful for you.
And it's an awesome
you know?
way. It's an awesome way for people that are a little bit nervous about training to, you know, meet some new friends, you know, be part of something. It's like, hey, we're all in this together. Everybody's trying to lose weight, so you're not alone. You know what I mean?
And at the end of the day, it's an on ramp for your gym, for your membership. You know, it's a taste. It gives them a taste of what you guys are about, what we're about, what's our brand, what's our, you know, our motto and everything. So it works both ways.
That's awesome.
We do a boot camp. We run women boot camps. We've been running them for the past 2 or 3 years, and them things just took off too, man. Women like to work out and they like to be together. You know, that's what I found out. So, you know, we get 30 to 50 women in each group, and, you know, that kind of just lit the fire. But again, they're common. It's common. Like, they like to come in together. They like to be together.
Some of the other things that we do that I know you do some of them because we've talked, but like community stuff that we do. You know, we throw a couple big-ass parties every year. We throw a Christmas party, summer barbecue. We do client appreciation days. We do bring a family friend workouts and stuff like that. So we you know, we do our 6-week transformation. You know, we do that twice a year, and every time that we throw a nice big closing party, winner's circle, pictures, photographers. We get this big runway. We make people try to make people feel like superstars when they're here. And I'd rather spend money on a party where I can actually get to hang out with my clients outside of the gym clothes and me yelling at them like a coach, and be able to sit. You know, I bring my wife's here. You know, obviously this summer we had our barbecue. My wife's 8 months pregnant. Everybody's super excited for us. It was just great to see us as a young family in a different light outside of the gym in regular clothes, and they really get a chance. And people just open up, and it just gives us a really great chance to connect. And another thing on community, our last thing on community too, is just when we talk about the community, we also talk about your employees. You got to give back to your employees. You got to help your employees get better. And by investing back in your employees and making sure that they have the tools that they need to be successful, it only helps out your community that much more. So, all right. So social media strategies, number 3. Right, so social media strategy, once you bring your brand to life and you have all your core values, your social media strategy needs to match up with your core values and your ideal client. Now, I'm all over Fame Strengths social media, and we always, we're always liking each other's stuff and commenting on each other's stuff. As I've said, Josh is, a friend of ours and somebody that we keep a close eye on from a professional and personal standpoint. And when I'm on his Instagram right now, and here's a kid squatting 315 pounds. Here's another athlete of the month, right? Here's a kid pulling a tire, right? Got the logo on every picture. Got his cool distressed look. Here's a spotlight of a client crushing a row. You can never expect it to succeed if you don't put the work. You know what I mean? So again, when you look at Josh's social media, it's super clean. It's all business. There's not pictures of Josh on there. I mean, there's some pictures of Josh, but there's not it's all business. Yeah. There's not pictures of Josh hanging out with his friends.
Consistent.
It's super consistent. There's Fame Strength on everything. The look is the same. It showcases what they do, his athletes, his employees, and the brand that they're putting out there. I see too many strength entrepreneurs using their social media like it's their own personal social media. Once you turn pro and you go open up a business, then just go open up your own social media. You know what I mean? Go open up its own. Like, if you should not, and me and Dan had this argument years ago, because I used to run when I started Varsity House, the Facebook was Varsity House / Joe Riggio. You know what I mean? And it was just like whatever I felt like posted on there. And Dan was like, yo, man, you got to separate yourself from the brand. And I said, well, I am the brand, right? And then I started thinking about it more and more and more. And I'm like, you know what? You're probably right. Like, nobody needs to see me hanging out on the beach in Miami. Like, that's cool for me, and my friends. But it's like, how does that work out? Unless I'm on the beach, like, working out, it has nothing to do with our brand, So little things like that make a big difference in the long haul. And when you look at like Nike, I always use Nike and like CrossFit and Google and all these big companies as a litmus test. When you look at Nike's social media, that shit looks tight. Professional pictures, professional athletes. There's no missteps in their social media. They probably have 50 people that just work on that, if not more, you know what I mean? Right. That are full-time employees that all they do all day is obsess over what Nike puts on their Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and all their social media outlets. So make sure that you set up some type of plan and get that loaded up into a consistent marketing calendar and social media calendar, and execute a social media strategy that matches up with your core values and the brand image that you're trying to portray. Okay. Number 4, I got 2 more, Josh. We're almost wrapped this up for today. I got 2 more, and this one is have a voice. Great brands stand for something or against something. It depends on what you're doing. Look at brands that you like the most. What's their voice? What's their message? How do they convey their voice? What do they stand for? Like if you look at like Apple, they have these uniquely designed products that simply work better than the competition. So their standpoint has always been, cool products, functionality, and almost in a sense like a cachet type product, like a high end boutique product, like I don't know, like buying Louis Vuitton purses or something like that.
Simplicity for them. Down to like the way their phones like feel in your hand.
Exactly, all those little things. So having a voice, for the gym business, like ours, means, we stand for something. Like Josh said, like, get your mind right. But this is more than just your creed. It really is the message you put out, the emails that you put out. We want people to perform better. We want people, like ours is, we want people to become unstoppable. We want you to change your body, change your mind, change your life through fitness, right? That's our model. That anybody, any athlete, or any person can improve themselves on or off the field by improving themselves in the gym. And that's kind of like the messages that we preach. Having a voice is critical. And then last but not least, Josh, and I'm going to kind of give this one to you, and is empower your customers, right? And I know that you're big on this, and I'm huge on this, and it's how do you, as a small business with a small business budget, go out of your way to make your clients feel like they're $1 million client who's paying $1 million a month for your services?
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I think, like you said, first, it's just very simple. Just care. Just care about your members. Show that you care. Providing, some of these community events, like you said, like we do a Fame Day. That's a barbecue that we have in the summer, and we jump in these parades that's around local town and get the whole gang together. Highlighting them on social medias, putting them on our pages. We have performance boards by highlighting their names there. It's always uplifting them, in some way or some fashion. And people, you can't say people don't like that, right?
No,
So
absolutely.
it's about making them feel special, making them feel important, like you said earlier, making them feel like a superstar. And that's what it's about. We constantly drop surveys in our gym.
Oh, yeah?
And
Nice.
we just dropped one this week.
Through
And
email,
we're
or
always look.
how do you get that?
We
to
actually have them inside the gym. So every member that comes in, they get the survey. We ask them to please fill it out. It's like 4 to 5 questions. So it's nothing crazy where they're like, oh, I'm not going to do this survey. But we drop them all the time, and we just dropped one this week. And basically, it's always what I'm looking for. Okay, say, all right, I'm trying to build something or develop something, or we have some planning going on. Let's see what they feel. Let's see. I want them to have a voice in what we're creating.
Right. You're empowering them. I mean, that is
that is
pure,
empowerment.
Yeah. So
Sure.
what kind of response do you get from those?
So it's huge, and I love it because we learn so much. Because as an owner, you kind of have a good pulse of like how your community is and what your gym's about, and where you're going. But then you get responses that you're like, you know what? I never thought about that.
Yeah.
That was something that I didn't think about.
I'm sure you get 10% that are really stupid.
Right.
You get 10%, like you're saying, that are, wow, I didn't even think of that. And then everything else in between is just people like, you need more paper towels in the bathroom.
Right.
What's an example of one that actually made you think
If
twice?
you don't mind, sharing with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I'll take you back through a couple surveys because, like I said, we always drop them because I'm always trying to improve. So one was it was music choice. I remember one, and I was like, man, I didn't even think about it. I thought, what we had going on, and I felt that we were well balanced with the music scene, and we had a couple people. I was like, oh, all right. So what I started doing was, hey guys, we're going to we want everyone to submit 2 songs that you really like in the gym. And then this is going to go on like the master list. So that was a way that we were able to change that, and answer back to that survey question.
We're always having a music
other
issue.
Things when they,
Yeah.
So we asked them for their input, and then, before it was, I used to have towels. So like when they're sweating, we used to have towels available, and the one thing was like, oh, they always run out. They run out fast. So there's some sessions that weren't able to get them. So then I was like, oh man, I didn't even think about that. So I went and got like 125 towels. Like I just stocked it up so I would never run out. But there's always, we ask about programming. Like, do you feel that the program that you're on in our program design is what you need? Do you, things like that. That helps us also.
And people love to know that they have a voice in especially when they're paying for something, especially on paying something.
Yep, we're giving them a voice. And, just recently, so I'll drop the bomb now, and I'll talk to you guys later about it too. So we're moving into like a 7,000 square foot spot.
Pow.
By December.
That's
so
awesome,
I'm about to lock it up tomorrow.
Congratulations.
So that's real exciting. No one knows about that. But
don't worry, the podcast doesn't come out till November 1st.
Drop it, right? So hearing it here first, but part of our survey that we built out was kind of geared towards that and saying in this transition,
what do you want? What do you need? Yeah.
So the first question was like, if you could build our gym, what would it look like? What would it feel like? What would it be?
That's awesome.
And we had a lot of great responses back from that. And then it was, I went into additional services, like nutritionists, massage therapists, sports rehab, like things like that. Are these some of the things that you would like? And these help me angle on this move on what I need to set up.
That's great, Josh. That's really insightful for you and the listeners and stuff. And that's a really smart move, and it's a great example of giving people a voice. Most gyms, here's the deal, right?
Anywhere.
But imagine if the restaurant asked me, like, sir, sir, what did you think about this? Would you like us to add
How
more?
about a
soda?
hotel, right? So I've been to a
Yeah.
hotel where they call you
Huge,
before,
man.
we just went on our honeymoon. They literally, okay, we got a survey before going. What temperature do you want the room at? What type of music do you like in the room? What type of things do you like on your breakfast menu? It's like, what?
Yeah,
and then, you have all those things become available. And, again, they're a place that works on referrals. I've referred that out tons of times.
Yeah.
And, today, the Zykovs tell me today they're going there in December.
That's awesome.
Like,
So,
man,
Nice.
giving
it's pretty
people a
cool.
voice
Nice.
is definitely, a great way to empower them and make them feel like they just have, said that they had a piece of, they almost in a sense feel like they have some skin in the game. And, so
They do.
like they do, you know what I mean?
Right,
And we also like another thing too is like we do, one of the ways that we empower, we give out awards and stuff like that. That's a big part of, empowering. You can make them feel real special, make them feel like they're in a sense a standout community member. Like you said, I know you have like the record boards and gym standards and stuff like that. And people love that stuff because people be like, man, I worked really hard towards something special, something that means something in the gym. So like, at home, maybe like Kenny P. I know Kenny, maybe at home, one of our clients, Kenny P, like Beth doesn't give a crap about, his box squat, but in here, in his little gym world with all his gym friends, like
But when he won
that's a big
Lifter
deal.
of the Year 6 years ago, that trophy's still on his desk.
That trophy's still on
Right,
his
right.
desk, exactly. And this summer, Mike did another, summer award for the Lifter of the Year award, and Kenny P was like, "I better win. I better go. I better win."
Ben and
You know?
Mary locked it down.
So there's great ways to empower your customers, make them feel like they're part of your community, like almost like make them feel like they have a say in what's going on. And in your case, by actually giving them a voice, that's the ultimate level of empowerment because now you can tailor your gym, your offerings to exactly what you're seeing those clients really want and need, and a lot of people don't do that, and they might be rolling with something for years and years and years, and they realize that most of the clients are like, that's stupid, I'm never going to do that, you know what I mean? Or I wish they had this, but I'm not going to say nothing to them. So
Right.
So
Exactly.
Josh, this was awesome. I could sit and talk to you, man. Every time you're out here, me, you, and Dan always hit go out for a beer or two and wind up
Yep.
talking for hours. You're an amazing businessman. You're a great dude. I love having you on. I love having you here at the gym. Me and Dan got to get our asses out to PA and come see you. And
the grand opening, we're there, bro.
yeah,
Yeah,
no doubt.
yeah,
I'm
new
super
spot,
excited
man.
for you, brother. That's great news, and congratulations to you and your family on that. And if you need anything at all, me and Dan are always here for you. So you give us a ring if you need anything. And check out Josh. Check out Fame Strength in Wilkes-Barre, PA. Soon to be moving to a new kicked up, super badass facility in the next couple months. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on Josh and checking him out. You could find Josh on all social media outlets. Josh, what's the website? Is it just famestrength.com?
Yep, famestrength.com.
Famestrength.com. He's at Fame Strength and Conditioning on Instagram. Fame_strength on Instagram. You're on Facebook too, Josh?
Facebook, Fame Strength. Yep,
Fame
same
Strength
thing.
all across the board. See, that's Brandon right there, right? Get it all lined up, get it all
right,
nice and
consistency.
organized.
Yeah.
Great, Josh, we wish you and the Fame family the absolute best. Thank you so much for having you on,
Thanks
brother.
for being on,
and,
dude.
and we really appreciate you taking the time away from your kids, family, and gym to be with us. Thanks, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Guys, I appreciate everything. Like you said, if you need anything from me, I'll be there. And I definitely have to get back out to Varsity House, kick it up with you guys again.
We'd love
Sounds
to have
good,
you. You're
man.
always welcome, brother. We'll talk
speak
to you
soon.
soon. Take care, buddy.
Later, man.
See ya.
All right.
Peace
Take care,
out.
bud.
The business of strength powered by Varsity House Gym. Turn your passion into your profession and learn how to run a world-class business. Be sure to visit us at www.strengthentrepreneurs.com to learn more. And as always, at varsityhousegym.com. Become unstoppable.